Oh, I'm on mute. How are you?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, good.
Good? Good, you all right?
Yeah.
Nice, nice, cool. We actually haven't been on one of these in a while, eh? You and me together.
Yeah, I think this is the first that we are doing this live together.
No. No, definitely not. We've done one before. Maybe first one
Yeah.
just me and you, but definitely not the first where we're both on. So,
Yeah, we
okay,
did the
maybe.
Teams meeting with the whole Salesforce team.
Okay. Sure. You're right. You're right. I remember now. Cool. But no, hey, good to share the virtual stage with you today. We'll be super quick. I mean, there's a lot that I think we're trying to get done before a long weekend for everybody. But from your perspective, maybe if you want to start, just like maybe tell everybody what you've been working on, what kind of contracts you've been focused on, or what you've been, or the space you've been recruiting in.
Yeah, so for now, our main focus is in the North America markets. It's also like part of with Salesforce, the well-respected company, and it's mainly focusing in contracting, remote
Mm-hmm.
positions. So right now, currently, I am looking for a Salesforce Industries CPQ architect.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody who has any telco experiences, having to have those Salesforce industries experiences as well, like those are super valuable and it may be a good fit. And I
Yeah.
also want to talk about like for those Salesforce professionals, whether if you have the Salesforce industries experiences yet, or if you have the hands-on experiences or not, sometimes you may also look at some transferable skills that you might have. So it's a good way to get into the space, and yeah, it may be easier too in that path.
Yeah, you've learned that part of like the ecosystem super well since you started. Because like a lot of people maybe don't even know, but you joined us less than a year ago, right? At the end
Yeah.
of the day, like literally yet less than a year ago. You've done quite a few placements, more specifically like in the Salesforce industry space. So you seem to pick that up really well. So at the beginning of the year, like if everyone remembers what we were posting, it was like heavy focus on like business systems analysts, senior business analysts who have like a little bit of Salesforce industries experience or enough, say, telco and Salesforce experience to cross over and learn that. So I think that was probably a nice place for you to start to really just understand like the foundations of the types of requirements, the use cases, all those things, to then now where you are. Hey, Son, thank you so much for joining. So nice to see you. Um, but then going from that to like more now developer, like super technical roles, for example, right? So there's like a couple interviews that we have going this week specifically for Salesforce Industries developers for a communications project. You kind of had to pick that up. Now you're looking at more architects, like you just said, like diving into all that at once probably would have been a lot, but just I guess luckily the way the market dictated what they need, you kind of were able to go from like role to role and really just sort of dive deep individually into each one until you have this nice full picture of the whole project, what you're looking at, what Salesforce Industries brings to the table, what the end clients look at, not just Salesforce, but we have to consider what like their clients also need. This The development roles that we were working on this week were pretty interesting because depending on the area, I think, of Salesforce Industries that the developer would have worked in. So yes, of course, Communications Cloud is like the one platform where I think there's the most traction happening globally, but specifically in North America for sure. But if you look at there's not necessarily enough, right? Communications Cloud experience developers, where we sometimes have to look outside of that. The biggest struggle however, it's been if you have someone who's basically only worked, say, in insurance or energy and utilities, they don't always have like the CPQ technical knowledge, CPQ, like, EPC, all that kind of stuff that's on a little bit of the other side of the platform. They're really good with like Omni Studio, Omni Scripting, Data Raptors, this and that. Would you give like anyone advice who maybe is more on the front end UI side of Velocity or Salesforce Industries, sorry? Anyone who's more on the front end of that, hey Mo, nice to see you. Anyone who's working more on the front end who wants to get some more of that like CPQ development experience from a dev perspective, what would you recommend?
Yeah, like like you mentioned before, like from my journey learning the Salesforce ecosystem overall, I do find it very helpful to do go through the trainings through Trailhead. So
Mhm.
for those like developers who are on the other side, more on the Omni side, are looking into the other backend space, like definitely there are lots of trainings out there. Maybe looking into it first and see if that would be part of your interest would definitely be valuable to start.
The one thing too is like when you look at Trailhead right now, yes, they have everything you need to know for Omni scripting, right? Omni Studio, Omni scripting, data raptors, flex cards, all that good stuff you can find in Trailhead. The resources are there. Excuse me, and people are passing exams like crazy in that area. Industry CPQ, right? The industry CPQ developer is also on Trailhead. And that's something that, like, in my opinion, if you're only onto that front end side, right, and you want to touch more of the CPQ, that's a good way to like open a door to maybe work on one of those other projects, right? So they do have that cert on Trailhead. It just the resources maybe aren't 100% up to scratch as maybe say the Omni Studio certifications would be. So I would recommend, yeah, if you want to go after that, do everything you can in Trailhead to learn and then eventually take that, industry CPQ cert. But I would also connect with maybe some other people who have already done that cert, right? Who've already done industry CPQ and get some like just information from them on like what study tools or what study methods they may have used to like practice leading up to that exam, because it's not an easy one compared to the Omni Studio consultant and dev. It's a lot more difficult from everyone that I've talked to, but it's a good stepping stone to like expand your horizons as a dev and be able to touch both sides. Because as a developer, I would say if you look at architecture and then BA, right, those types of roles, there is more of like an industry implication to what you need to do, and you need a bit of a deeper understanding of the industry to do it. As a dev, yes, if you have an industry specialization, great, it does help a lot, but it's not as like hard requirement as the other two types of roles. So the more you can just expand your development skills within the Velocity platform across the board, you would have the ability to switch between different types of projects that tend to focus on different things, whether it's comms and media, for example, insurance, energy and utilities. I was on Reddit this week too, and there's like a lot of people asking questions. There's like a Salesforce, a little community. I don't know like the lingo for Reddit of what everything's called. It's one of those like forum panels just for Salesforce. And there's a good few people asking about like velocity, like, or I said it again, Salesforce Industries, right? Is this an area that, is going to continue to grow? Is this an area that like I should, double down in and actually, like make a career out of or carve a career out of? What do you think, Stacey, just given all the recruitment that you've done so far? If somebody was, say, like a developer or a BA from Salesforce looking to cross over to industries, like, would it make sense in your opinion?
Yeah, from the how the market and the demands are, I definitely
Mm-hmm.
believe that telco is one of the very fast growing space, and it will continue to grow well for the next few years.
Do you
And
think just telco or the other industries too?
I do believe in telco, telecommunications, insurance, and energy. These three are
Mm-hmm.
probably the biggest industries that you can maybe look into.
Mm-hmm.
And also another interesting fact that I find from a lot of candidates I spoke with.
Mm-hmm.
So there are sometimes a few projects ongoing at the same
Mm-hmm.
company, but not like different people would have different focus in different spaces, right?
Sure.
So whether if the company has Salesforce Industries, Omni going on, but they or and having the CPQ ongoing, but they may not touch both spaces. Yeah, so
Right.
maybe I would recommend if any companies who are having like multiple projects at the same time into different spaces that you're working on right now, also it would be valuable to reach out to the colleagues and see what it's like.
Okay, so you're saying, so if you're at a big company, like a big telco company, right, where there's like tons of people on different teams, maybe B2B, B2C as an example, and on the B2B side, they're doing all this industry stuff, and on the B2C, they're maybe not doing it at all, as an example, right? Maybe if you're someone who wants to get into that space, don't just like focus on your little scrum team, like maybe just branch outside of that and make some connections in different parts of the organization that you're already in to see if like there's an opportunity for you to basically upskill. That's a really good point. Really good point. You may not have to look actually too far to get some of this experience. The biggest thing that like I was giving advice on, like just responding to some people who were asking questions is always, is this just a fad? Is it gonna last? Is it worth setting a career upon? It's not like just Salesforce is doing this. Like there are a lot of software vendors who are doubling down and making software that's specific to a given industry, right?
Mhm.
Because that's like what's in demand from the end client side. So it's not like you're gonna see less probably of this is like future like if we really go, but I feel like you're gonna end up seeing less of I need a Salesforce Industries developer, right? Or a X Velocity developer to this is just like the communications cloud offering, right? We need someone who has experience specifically with that. Like they're bucketing everything so that everything is verticalized. And when they go to like an end client, for example, who's like a telco customer or an energy utilities customer, they bucket everything together in an industry package, and that's what they implement. So right now, yeah, there's a lot of crossover between the different industries because Salesforce Industries is relatively new and they're fitting it into all the different like cloud offerings. But as they continue to sort of package that, you're probably going to see over time a more distinct line between the different offerings, I would imagine. So is Salesforce Industries itself a good path to go? Definitely, I think so. But even though I was saying like as a dev, right, you can move into different industries, you might just want to start considering past, hey, learning velocity today, would it be smart for me to specialize in an industry like for tomorrow? Because at least with Salesforce and like I said, a lot of other software vendors, that seems to be where everything is going. And if you really double down in that space, right, as opposed to maybe a lot of the people who are kind of staying very general, not that staying general is a bad thing, but when the entire product itself is really breaking up industry wise, at least at the enterprise level, it might make a lot of sense to consider where you want to fit yourself to like continue getting work in the future in a sense where like you're one of the only people who's like an expert within that area. It's a way to carve a niche for yourself. It's like a bit of a turning point. So something to consider. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for me. We're coming up on like almost 15 minutes, so I'm sure people are logging off and getting back to work last day before the holidays. Anything that you want to like plug in or throw in before we shut her down, Stacey? Thanks, Hemi.
Um,
What a
yeah,
supportive boss.
yeah. No, I just want to wish everybody to have a good Easter. Enjoy the holiday. Don't stress too much. Don't think about work during the holiday, and really enjoy your time with your family.
Well, tell me about it. Yeah, if you are celebrating Easter this weekend, happy Easter to all of my Italians, Buona Pasqua, obviously. Um, and yeah, if you're not, but you still get the day off tomorrow, definitely enjoy. So that's it for this week. We see everybody next week. Ciao.
See you.